So, numbers. Python, like most programming languages, can interact with many different data types, a lot of which describe different kinds of numbers. The first of which is integers. Signed integers, commonly referred to in programming languages as ints, are any negative or positive whole numbers. This is represented in Python by the keyword int, with two parentheses, enclosing those parentheses the number you're referring to. Though to be exactly clear, you don't actually have to use int followed by the brackets to refer to as an int. If you're dealing with just a plain whole number in Python, you can just use the value 2, and Python will look at that and know it's an integer and default to an integer value. When this is important is if we have a decimal number that isn't whole, like 6.2, then we want to convert that to an integer, then we can put 6.2 within the brackets. Where the keyword int and the parentheses become important is when we have other data types, like decimal numbers that aren't an integer, so like 5.7, and we want to convert that to an integer, then we use the int and the brackets. Or if we have a string enclosed within two quotations, it's like 5 in quotations, if we put that in between the parentheses in an int, then that will convert it to 5. Because Python understands, well, that's what you're trying to do. This is commonly referred to as parsing, which is basically converting from one data type to another. So the next important data type is floats. These are probably known to you as decimals, or also known as floating point numbers, because like it comes from the decimal is the point and it floats to different places as you get higher and lower, if you're wondering. These are defined again in Python in a similar way to int, but instead using the keyword float and then two parentheses. So try doing like opening up the shell and try float and then just 1 and see what happens. You should get 1.0 returned as float. Converting the integer 1 to a float would add a decimal point or a floating point. There are other data types for different numbers in Python, though you probably won't really generally need to use them. Like one of the more prominently used one in other programming languages is the keyword long. That's just for very long integers, but that's mainly was used in Python 2, not so much Python 3. This is just due to the fact that Python 2 had a size limit on integers, which Python 3 doesn't have. There's also a data type for complex numbers. You can look all these up on the Python website if you go to the documentation if you want to read more. Operations. There's a number of different mathematical and arithmetic operations you can perform on numbers and integers and floats in Python. These include standard mathematical operations like multiplication and subtraction. Something you might not be familiar with is the modulus operation, which is defined in Python as a percentage symbol. And modulus symbol, basically what that does is it divides the number before the symbol by the number after the symbol and then returns the remainder. So 20 modulus 3, you're going to get 2 as a result because it's remainder. Alright, that's everything for numbers in Python. Feel free to play around with that all you want, or just head on straight on to the next lesson where we're going to cover strings.